Hi, Young Leaders Council. My name is Caroline Erickson. I'm a third year medical student at Vanderbilt, but I'm planning on taking next year off of medical school to get my MBA degree at Owen. That program starts in August. After medical school, I'm planning on doing a general surgery residency, and then after that, completing a trauma critical care fellowship to become a trauma surgeon. I'm also hoping to do some hospital administrative work in my future. But the real reason that I'm getting my MBA degree is because I'm really interested in social enterprise, social innovation, and using market forces to drive social change. That interest really started for me as an undergraduate student. I went to Arizona State University and studied biology and business entrepreneurship, which is a unique combination that I chose at the time because I wasn't sure that I wanted to go to medical school and thought, well, maybe I might start my own business instead. Then quickly realized that I really did want to be a doctor. I became an emergency medical technician and ended up shadowing some trauma surgeons and realized that that was absolutely what I was meant to do with my life. I loved it so much. Then decided to keep my business degree because I knew no matter what industry or job that I have in the future, it would be very useful to me. Then I had a few experiences in undergrad that really solidified my interest in social enterprise. I started working at a medical respite facility called Circle the City in Phoenix, and they provide medical care to homeless patients who are too sick to go back to the streets but no longer have inpatient hospitalization needs. And they actually have a really unique funding model. The hospitals pay Circle the City to take the patients, and that funds all their business functions, but the hospitals still save money because it's much cheaper than keeping that patient in a hospital bed. Then I also had an internship at a nonprofit startup called All Walks Project, and the goal of that startup was to support victims of sex trafficking, which is a big problem in Arizona. And my role as an intern for that company was to help them develop a social enterprise that could fund some of the education and rehab functions for the trafficking victims. Currently, I have a lot of volunteer opportunities that I do here in Nashville. I've been working with Open Table Nashville for 3 years now. They are a homeless outreach organization. I started working with them mainly doing winter canvassing, which is when it's really cold outside. We get teams of volunteers together and try to get homeless people into the emergency shelters, or at least provide them with supplies and warm clothes if they're going to stay out in the dangerous temperatures overnight. So I've been doing that for 3 years, and this year got to start leading those teams, so lead teams of the downtown volunteers. I also, with Open Table, have had a much bigger role lately from the pandemic. My classes got moved to online, so I had lots of free time and actually have been taking over for two of the outreach workers at Open Table who are self-quarantining. So almost every day I am delivering food to some of the homeless camps or bringing supplies. I've been doing some basic medical care because a lot of the clinics are shut down or only doing telehealth, and there are a lot of homeless people that don't have phones and can't get into a telehealth appointment. I've also been volunteering recently with Salvation Army. We go to different homeless camps each day and try to do about 200 meals, and also have been, providing some medical care and basic supplies through that. Also, while in Nashville, I've had many other volunteer positions, including I teach diabetes classes in Room at the Inn, which is another homeless shelter. And my main goal of that is to help people better understand the disease and how they can kind of avoid getting some of the really serious complications down the line, like amputation, heart attack, stroke. So I think it's a really important position, educating patients that maybe don't have the best health literacy. Then also more recently, I've become really interested in trying to not just help people's current needs, not just address the current needs of homeless individuals, but also how can I help prevent people from becoming homeless in the first place. So I've been volunteering with Project Return for quite a while now. They have programming for people that were very recently released from prison within the last month, and so I help them prepare for job interviews. I also help teach entrepreneurship classes to formerly incarcerated people who are trying to start their own businesses. I'm also on an affordable housing task force through NOAA, and we work on trying to find a dedicated funding stream for affordable housing to increase the number of units in Nashville. It's a big problem that a lot of people are becoming homeless every day because they can't afford rent. And then another volunteer thing that I've been doing in Nashville is working with Safe Tennessee, which is a bipartisan organization that tries to promote gun safety. We mainly track legislation in the Tennessee state government and both proactive gun safety legislation and try to oppose legislation that's trying to make guns more widely available without background checks or safety measures implemented. So in terms of why I want to do Young Leaders Council, this year was on a group called Emerging Impact Leaders, and it was made up of graduate students from programs across Vanderbilt. And there was a conversation we had that had a really big impact on me, which was surrounding nonprofits kind of operating to maintain their current status rather than trying to eventually make themselves obsolete by like fixing the problem, fixing the root causes. And that really had an impact on me because I feel like I've spent a lot of my time volunteering at organizations helping people with their current needs rather than addressing the bigger social problems. And so I would love to be on a nonprofit board and learn more about that and be the person that's kind of driving people to think about how do we really get to the root causes of this? How do we prevent people from being in these situations in the first place? And then I also, especially recently, it's been hard working with several different homeless organizations and seeing how much conflict there is between the organizations, just really poor communication and arguments over slightly different like philosophical approaches to the problems. And I would love to be in more of a leadership role at some point in my life where I can try to coordinate these activities. So I'm really looking forward to hearing back from you, and I really hope this works out. Thanks so much for listening to my video.